Hello, thank you for joining me today. I am Heather Kurth, and I'm going to tell you about the beauty of brine. Now, we've all been to a couple Thanksgivings, 5, maybe 10, maybe every Thanksgiving. Aunt Sally brings out that beautiful looking turkey, golden, crispy brown on the outside. And when we get the white meat on our plate, it ends up a bit underwhelming in flavor and a bit dry. Not even enough grams of gravy can help that mess. Once you learn the process of brining poultry and leaner cuts of meat, those Thanksgivings will be a thing of the past. As you develop recipes for tender, moist, delicious center-of-the-plate creations. Brining meat's a simple science using a solution of salt and water. I'll give you a couple pointers on the conditions for a successful brining process that you can then adapt to your own recipes. So brining. Brining meat is the process of submersing cuts of meat, turkey, chicken legs, pork loin, pork chops, seafood, even larger beef roasts for a nice tender beef lunch meat, into a solution of salt and water. Through the scientific principle of osmosis, that's when you have a solution of salt and the meat. The solutions naturally want to create an equilibrium between the salinities of each of them until they're both the same, and you have salt in the meat, which serves two purposes. First, the salt breaks down the amino acid proteins and unravels them, allowing them to retain more moisture in that form. Effective brine consists of 1 cup of salt to 1 gallon of water. I made a pretty handy chart that you can look at and see different measurements for different types of salt. Table salt is fine for most purposes, but of course it's up to you as you develop your own recipes. There are a couple ways to create the brine. You can use room temperature water and salt and just stir until it dissolves. Or you can add the salt to a stock pot, your water, and you want to add aromatics, herbs, peppercorns, bay leaf, citrus, garlic, ginger, whatever your heart desires. You don't want to simmer that on the stove a little bit to develop those flavors. The important thing, though, is that you must bring the brine down to 40 degrees Fahrenheit or lower before you put it on your meat. We need to create a safe temperature so the bacteria cannot grow in the meat. And you also don't want to cook the meat by putting hot brine over cold meat. It just results in kind of a tough outside and unsightly whitish hues. So, food safety, very important with brines. If you don't have a large enough refrigerator, you can use ice around a bag, an oven bag, say, of a turkey, put it in a cooler with a bunch of ice. You can also bring the temperature of the brine down by adding ice cubes, which will count as your gallon of water, so you will want to measure that. That's a really quick way to get your brine down to 40 degrees so you can add it to your meat. Next, it's important that the container you are brining in is non-reactive, aka non-aluminum metal. You don't want anything reacting with the salt. So plastic Cambros that we have at work, big buckets, those are generally fine. Anything plastic or food safe. How long to brine? That's a question too. General rule is 1 pound for 1 hour. If you have a thinner cut of chicken or a thinner pork chop, that may take 1 to 2 hours. But you have a whole turkey, you're going to want that in the fridge for a good 12 to 18 hours. When you're ready to cook, you have to discard the brine. You don't want to use it for other purposes because it's going to have proteins and amino acids in that are not really great to use. You also want to dry your meat out after you have taken it out of the brine. This helps to reduce water on the outside of the bird, which creates a crisp skin. So you can pat it dry with paper towels, or you can let it air dry in appropriate temperatures below 40 degrees Fahrenheit for a few hours before you're grilling, searing, or roasting your meat. Finally, the best part, how do you customize your brine? How do you make it your own? The best part of cooking, we know, is taking a simple recipe, developing it to our own tastes, and just making it shine. The way to customize a brine is add sweeteners, honey, brown sugar, maple syrup. Experiment. I like about equal cups of sugar as salt in my brine. For some people, that's a little bit of a sweet brine, but it's really good in, say, a roasted pork with apple cider glaze. So you can experiment with different sweeteners. You can experiment with a variety of herbs, fresh, dried, peppercorns, bay leaves, garlic cloves, ginger, and aromatics, citrus peels, whole onions, whole cinnamon sticks, cloves. Experiment till your heart's desire. You can see the apple brined turkey recipe for a more complex brine recipe. In conclusion, making an effective brine is quite simple. Just follow a simple ratio of salt to water at the basic level. Maintain a safe temperature. Can't stress that enough. Food safety, under 40 degrees at all times. And most importantly, have fun, experiment with basic recipes, and tweak them until they match your recipes, until you're happy with them. Everybody knows that's the best part of cooking. You're going to have a tender, moist, delicious center of the plate presentation. Go from Aunt Sally to Mario Batali with one simple recipe. I hope you guys learned a little something from this, and have a good afternoon.